Hello, live stream. Getting set up for a outrageously special Linux Unplugged. And then Alex is 3 right now. Oh yeah, it's totally gonna be killer. Hello. It's Cheesy. Come on, Cheesy, get in here. Come on down. I get that.
I have too many drinks.
Hey, Alex, stand up. Cheesy, go over there.
Hey, what you do one more? Let me get that.
Huh?
Do one more. Let me get the pine head in there. God.
Fuck!
Marketing, bitch.
Shit!
Wait, no, you gotta give me the pine head. Where's that?
Oh, sorry.
Boom. Almost knocked out. Why?
Wait, no, I should hold him. It's closer to the camera.
I am why.
I'll get in here.
Yeah, get in here, Al.
No,
Jesus.
El, you get in there. Get in there.
Get on there. All right, one of those will work. Thank you. All right, that's gonna make for a great tweet. I'm gonna put. If you're wondering what the F we're doing in studio right now, it's gonna go up on Twitter here in just a minute. Yeah, we got a great Unplugged today. Firing up on all the different cylinders. Stand by while we get ready. All right, y'all, let's do this thing. Come on, y'all. Mr. Payne, how you feeling, sir?
I gotta get me a beverage.
Oh yeah, good call. We all need bevies.
Yeah, that's part of being ready to broadcast.
Recording today.
Hey, Cheesy.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. Did you hear me?
No, I
I'm
didn't.
happy because I don't have to start the local recording today.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, I'll handle all of that for you today.
Are you going to handle it?
I got it all.
It's so much
Do we
easier this
do we
way.
have room on the drives?
Chris is at the controls.
How's
He
the-
even has 24 gigs of free space.
24 gigs, huh?
24.
That's enough for how many
gigabytes?
hours of audio?
It looks like that would be enough for 6 hours, 13 minutes, and 48 seconds. Not that I'm checking.
Better keep the show on track, eh?
Yeah, that's nice to have incentives. Otherwise, we go all day.
Oh, we're coming in right now, Bite. Hold on. Stand by one, Bite. Stand by.
I don't know if you guys noticed today, but in our IRC we have Deborah F596.
Hey, Deborah F596. Good to
She's
have
here.
you. All right, Bite. Are you coming in now, Bite?
I don't know.
Hello, hello.
Hello, sir. We've got you. We've got you.
Yeah, we were having a ghost conversation with you.
Oh, were you? Sorry. Yeah, we were just linking up the audio. Hello, hello,
Well-
hello.
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 Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh yeah, look at that. We got Niels up in here.
Yep.
Some
Hello.
biped
So-
mini
so-
bit.
Hey, let me know when I
And-
need to
I mean,
kill this
I
fanny
had to
fan.
be here because Chris wanted me here after Flock, so here I am.
Oh yeah.
What the flock?
The post-flock report. Right.
Yeah.
Great. So let me.
Yeah, when do we want to do that?
But first, let me say, Emma, it's good to have you back.
Emma.
Emma.
She's probably prepping, maybe getting herself a beverage.
She's still recovering from a Canadian border experience.
Oh man.
No kidding.
Oh man, that time you ever
She was
accidentally
sitting up in the join queue. Did you guys pull her down?
you ever
she's in
accidentally
there.
hit full screen?
Yes. It's
don't
very
like it.
confusing.
It's
Plenty.
I never accidentally hit full screen.
And you know what happens is people who like full screen applications, I get angry at them like it's your fault. It's
You
your
what?
fault that I've been given.
What?
I have this burden.
It's not an iPad I'm using. I don't need that.
Right, exactly. Oh my
There's
god.
only one
oh my
thing I
God.
ever full screen, and that's
Oh
a
my
browser, and that's when I'm looking at multiple things on a browser page because the stupid single page app thing.
Here's the issue with that, though. I have a 38-inch wide monitor, so a web page takes up approximately 20% of the
That's
middle of
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's absolutely terrible, though.
The rest is all white either side, or
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
August 27th. I can.
It's so the worst.
now a 38-inch wide terminal window. Now that's a different story.
Well, depends if you have stuff that print that much output.
Chat room
Docker.
in studio today. We have Mr. Cheese Bacon.
Yo.
We have Alex.
Heyo.
We have Brent.
Hey there.
Hey there, Brent. And of course, we have Wes and myself in studio. And our spirit animals, Joe, Drew, and Elle, are out in the living room. Elle, if you want to come and say hi, we're saying hi to the live stream.
Hell, we're talking about
I
you.
think Drew is go get there on that handy mic right there. There you go.
I am here.
Hey
You got
there.
Alex in the
Good
studio?
job.
Yeah, we got Alex here, bro.
Yeah.
Hey man, how's it going?
There are things happening, Neil.
There are
that
things-
certainly
I mean,
will be released
hello.
very soon.
We will be sitting
That's
out
a
there
teaser.
in the air conditioning,
Well,
laughing
the
at all
deets
you
will be
guys.
released.
It is getting warm in here, isn't it?
The release won't be released, but the deets will be released. about the release.
Cheese is teasing.
Elle's gonna be out there setting up her new
Cheesy teasy.
Cheese and
GNOME
tizzin'.
Ubuntu LTS
Cheese and
setup.
tizzin'.
That's gonna be. Are you guys gonna talk about that all on the show?
Oh no, you just leaked that I'm off of a Pop OS though. Thanks.
Oh, I didn't know. Sorry, I didn't realize that was confidential. Never mind.
It's still on
forget
Pop.
everything.
I'm doing great.
She's doing great.
Hey,
on
look,
Pop.
no, you know, it's okay. She can move off pop because I'm still on pop. It's not like
Are you?
there's pop hate going in.
No.
Yeah.
No
my,
pop hate. No, of course not.
No.
My
not at all.
MacBook runs pop.
I mean,
Really?
Yes.
Wes called it when he said I'd get bored with stability. So stop being so great, Pop, and then maybe I'll use you.
That's a nice graceful exit strategy right there. I appreciate that. Nobody's feelings are gonna get hurt with that exit strategy.
You want boring on a server, but a desktop has to be at least a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no
don't.
excitement on the server.
I don't need wobbly windows though. I don't
Yeah.
need that in my life. I never needed wobbly. Did you ever?
Dude, bro, shut up! Don't talk bad about wobbly windows, man.
Did you ever? Elle,
I
did
don't
you
know
ever?
what that is.
Okay, so.
Do you remember the desktop cube? Remember that?
So yeah, so I'm gonna have to
Cube.
compass.
Guys, this is all before. This is.
No, that's
this
why
is-
that's why I'm asking Elle, right?
Oh,
This
Compass
is
3D.
All right, Grandpa
oh,
Lennox,
yeah.
tell me the
so
story.
Windows.
so
Oh,
compass.
yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
It's
Wibbly,
like a
wibbly,
3D
wibbly.
desktop. So you know how you have desk workspaces or
Anybody have plasma?
works-
Can you just show her right now?
I don't have plasma.
No,
You can rotate your desktop in a cube.
Wes, can you turn on some of the 3D effects? Like if you go into K1 effects, can you turn on wobbly windows and 3D
Wobbly
cube?
and
You think I
and-
don't
and
already
compass.
have wobbly windows?
Do you have wobbly windows?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my
Yes,
God,
you're
who
a man
does
after my own
that?
heart.
Actually,
Puts-
Actually, it's because I
Yeah,
turned them on.
you might as well just set your
Oh,
font
Chris,
to be
you're
Comic
just
Sans, dude.
So Wes lives out of Vim and has wobbly windows.
Yeah,
turned on.
exactly.
This is an
You know what?
amazing
Here's why
juxtaposition.
I will defend wobbly windows to my grave because I converted plenty of people to Linux because of wobbly windows.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So did I. The flashiness just
Yeah.
tends to overwhelm people.
But
Sexy
no, to me,
companies.
look, if you're gonna have wobbly windows,
I mean,
you
Compass
might as
crashed
well
a bunch,
have.
But you had to, if you worked at it and
Well,
hid
it's like
the
a
fact that it
sports
crashed
car,
all the
yeah.
time.
You know,
Well,
it needs
if
a
you
lot of
worked at the
maintenance
fact
and
that it-
love.
If you got wobbly windows, you need to go ahead and set your font.
As long as you did it within like
to
45-minute
Comic
intervals, so
Sans.
that the compositor didn't
and then you
crash.
can have your clown OS.
You could show it off to people, and then they'd be awing and oohing, and then eventually switch on their own.
All right,
then they
so
too will realize the crashiness.
can you show her a wobbly window? All right,
He's gonna wobble those windows for you.
check
El.
this out, El.
Did-
Isn't that
All
fun?
right, I like that. I'm not
Thank
gonna lie.
you.
I like
Did the
that.
chat room
you.
pick
Thank
up that
you.
little giggle that she made?
Yeah,
Just
I-
then?
Yes,
I think it's
she-
great.
Yes, I
It's
think
just
so.
fun,
Giggle of
right?
awesomeness.
That was a really natural
Now, did you-
reaction.
Did somebody set it up
I'm
so
gonna
that
say,
the
I like
windows
little kid
also
things.
burn when you minimize it?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that is
So you used to be able to just burn the entire window down, or you could have them explode is still an
Well,
option.
fall apart. Yeah, closed windows
Yeah,
fall into
what-
pieces.
Yeah, so try that. Try this.
Vim with
Oh,
wobbly
that's
windows.
the fade
Should be just
one.
wobbly Vim,
Oh, was that the fade? Dang it.
So there's fade. There's all
You-
the kind of effects.
wobbly Emacs.
I was.
Damn it! Now I want to do this to
You
my
can burn
computer
up.
again.
Do you have the
No, don't do it to your computer. Don't do it.
the window where like the
Oh, but it's
window
so
will
much
go up in
fun
flames?
having the 3D
If you
exploding
turn on,
cube of
if you
all
turn
the
on
things.
explode, you got to turn off fade.
Oh.
Oh,
Chris knows all the wobbly
Oh,
windows.
yeah,
There's
man.
no slow-mo explosion happening.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun though. You just get a little bit of joy every time a window blows up. Like when an application pisses you
Childish
off.
glee.
boom.
Oh, I probably didn't save it.
It sparks joy, Chris.
Wait, so can I set it to
Spots.
any time something is K9'd, it'll just
It's
blow up?
Yes.
Spots.
Well, or you can actually one of the
Joy.
cool things you can do in Plasma is you can have it fade out to black and white and blur, so it's like it dies. Aw. Which I thought was really.
I mean, it's not like any of that stuff
Got 'em.
uses
you could also have it do the little
resources
slurpy thing.
on
your
The slurpy
computer.
thing
That's
that,
why I
like,
buy-
Arrow used to do.
That's
All
why I
right,
buy
got
a
it.
$300 video card.
Let's see how long I can keep this before getting really annoyed.
It's funny
Yeah.
because it's true, Chris.
I mean, it is right. Like I got a video card sitting on my computer doing jack nothing. I might as well use it to explode some windows.
Damn
Fair. I mean, like
Well,
most
maybe
of the time,
Bitcoin will go
my
back up.
machine doesn't do anything.
Yeah, then who cares?
Yeah, you're set.
All the video cards. Yeah, that could happen. Well,
Maybe have a
Bitcoin-
pre-show?
Bitcoin's
Are we just gonna do
recovered
this?
quite a bit.
oh shit, we do need
Yeah,
a
but the-
pre-show. You're right.
I'm opening up all these
But
links.
Bitcoin
We had,
also dropped like $500-600 in 1 hour. It was like
don't raise my blood
no.
pressure
Oh,
before the
wow.
show.
What was
Don't
our,
don't raise
wow.
my blood pressure
Jesus.
before the show.
No.
Bitcoin. What do you expect?
Gets warm.
what was
Yeah,
our?
it does.
I
we were
just set
talking
an
about
alert
earlier.
when it's when it hits
can we-
$1,200.
Can we ping Emma?
$12,000.
Can we ping Emma and let her
So-
know that we don't hear her?
Emma, don't hear you.
I'm here.
Oh, hey
Oh.
Emma. Hey
Oh,
girl.
good, you're
hey
back,
girl.
Emma.
How you
See, I
doing?
just had to sing to
I
her.
was just up for a second. It takes me a while to get back and forth.
Did you want to
All
do?
right.
We miss you. We're glad you're back.
Did you want to do a little PF Sense build follow up, or not?
Probably not. Not this week.
Cool.
Anybody else got other? I mean, 'cause that's not really pre-show either. You know, that's not the pre-show flow. We need a pre-show flow, don't you know?
Pre-show flow.
We need a pre-show flow.
Well, we had discussed a couple of.
We have a
things.
pre-show flow.
We need a pre-show flow, don't you know?
Chris, do you know what really confused me on the way home? I was driving in the Netherlands to my home, and I look up and I see a car. You know what the license plate said? Florida, the sunny state.
No.
They shipped. Their,
Wait, what?
They shipped their car.
They
Yeah,
shipped their
Was it-
car to the Netherlands?
Was it a left-hand
there's
drive?
I mean,
a
why
military
not,
base
right?
here. It's
What
just
could go
10
wrong?
kilometers here.
Well, the Netherlands drives on the same side of the road as America.
But they still have left
Well, it
right-hand
drives
drive
on the
vehicles.
same side, of course. But
Yeah, but
that's
She
not
was-
the
The
point.
only people that
A
don't are
Floridian
England, Australia,
car?
and Japan.
I was really
couple of
confused, and I had to follow it so I could take a picture, so later on I could look at it and confirm I saw it.
I mean, a Floridian car in.
They must have taken a really, really wrong turn to end up here.
And somehow made it over
Well,
the Atlantic Ocean.
Normal for Florida, right?
Fair, yeah. That is Floridians for you.
So
Excuse me.
I have one idea for a pre-show.
Excuse me.
Drop it. Like it's hot.
I don't know, man.
Don't
Dude,
tease us.
teasing me, bro.
I got them negative feelings about it.
It's negative in the freedom dimension.
Dimension.
God, that quote never ages, does it?
Nope.
Dimension.
The way
It's
he pauses
negative in the freedom.
dimension. There's always that pause.
Oh my God, the show is
Isn't
so
that
big
from an
today.
old Lass interview?
What year was that interview in?
Holy
We could
cow,
talk about
kids.
that Knoll license plate story. That's kind of funny. It's not really up though.
What about Alex's on-air stuff? Is that a way to chew up
I've forgotten how long ago that one was.
They had
'cause
something for a
that
hot
was a
second.
Brian thing that caused that quote to happen.
Oh yeah, the whole interview.
What about
was like
China's
last
open source
200,
foundation?
I think it was last 200. So that kind of tells you where it was at in the timeline. What's that?
Oh,
China's
geez.
open source foundation.
No, that makes no. I don't want something sleepy. It's got to be something that wakes you up and gets you going.
Yeah, you want to be excited about
All right,
the
I'll
show.
hit record.
Let me think through
I'm gonna
some
do
stuff.
some silence capture. So everybody stand still and be quiet.
Hang on, let me turn off the fan.
Yeah, girl, turn off that fan real quick, okay? Oh, bye, Elle.
Bye.
We miss you.
And Chris collapses into a pit of sadness.
All right, I think. Yep. All right, gates are off. So everybody, it is now our time of silence. No breathing, no moving, no coughing, no sneezing, no clearing, no farting. In 3, 2. Wow.
I was really hoping Joe would come back and somehow ruin his own silence.
That would have been. I
busting
think
the door.
I gotta give us guys. I gotta give it to us. I think that was our best silence ever. I think that was our best silence ever.
Oh,
with
you're
all these
just
mics.
saying that.
No,
With 5 people?
we earned this. We
Yeah, we
earned this little Star Road.
Oh, it feels
That's us. We're on
Silence
the.
is good
It's a
in
great
fives.
track.
We are on the Star Road, guys. Oh,
You know what? It's getting warm in here.
So,
Yeah.
Chris, I wanted to tell you
It's a
you've,
bonding thing.
got some photos on Telegram you were asking for.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Yeah, you can throw them up.
Oh, the feeling. I need my Nintendo. I need my Nintendo.
Well, there we go.
He runs off to fetch his Nintendo.
All right, all aboard. It is now time for Linux Unplugged. We will be entering the Unplugged zone. Chat room, if you would, please bang suggest. Please. For the love of God, bang suggest. And say hi to Emma. She's been gone for a while.
Oop.
What's the matter, girl? What's the matter? You're stressing me out now. I'm all stressed. I can't do this now.
I may have had notifications turned on.
Everybody
Oh,
silence
yeah,
your phones.
do your phone check.
Everybody remember
We
where
already
we
did our
parked.
desk space check, so we're good there.
Welcome to BSD Unplugged, your weekly BSD talk show.
I can't help myself. All right.
Too busy getting actual work done.
In 3, 2. I can't believe I'm saying this. But I've switched away from Systemd.
I don't believe it.
I'm just kidding.
That
Hello, friends, and welcome into a very special Linux Unplugged. This is episode 314. My name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
Hello, Wes.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great because we've got a full house today.
We do. It's a special week here at the Jupiter Broadcasting Studios. We have the full core team in-house. And I guess that's my quick way of saying people that are all involved in creating a brand new podcast for the network.
What?
Are in-house this week. And that means that we have a whole cast of characters here helping us get various jobs done. So I want to say a very happy hello to Mr. Cheese Bacon. Hello, Cheesy.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you here.
It's
Thank
great
you.
to have everyone here.
And hello to Alex. Nice to have you in studio, Alex.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, Alex. You're sounding good, sir. That sounded nearly real.
Thank you. Nearly.
And it's always good to have Brent back in studio. Hello, Brent.
Well, hello, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm great. It's good to be connected via real, cords and stuff to the studio. That's nice.
Brent made me breakfast.
What?
Mm-hmm. Brent made me
He's
breakfast
such a
today.
gentleman.
It's so good. And Drew barbecued lunch. So
Pays to have the team around.
now, of course, this wouldn't be a Linux Unplugged without our virtual lug. Time-appropriate greetings there, Mumble Room.
Hello.
Hello. It's really good.
aloha.
Aloha, Neil. Aloha. Welcome back. Neil will be giving us his flock report in a moment. But Emma, I just have to say, it's super great to see you back. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I will be off crutches pretty soon, but I returned to System 76. I've returned to the factory, so I'm moving around pretty good these days.
Man, if people don't follow Emma Social Happiness on Twitter, she recently had a serious medical situation. Unbelievable to watch from afar, Emma. So I'm really
It
glad.
was a safari accident, to be specific.
That is very cool. We should make that a disclaimer because, other people get injured, but Emma got injured on a safari. So that's true. But it's really good to see you back. Been following your journey on Twitter. Nice to see you
Thank
back
you.
at work. We have some cool stuff you and I are going to be talking about in a little bit today, too.
Yep.
So I'm glad you're here. But let's kick things off with a wee bit of community news. Did you see all of this hoopla around this horrible bug that was discovered in KDE that could potentially make it vulnerable to attack? And then the KDE project responded by just ripping the feature out of Plasma, I understand.
Yeah,
What happened, Wes?
so it's not, you can call it a bug or really it's a design decision because it turns out you can execute scripts in your .desktop or .directory files.
And why
So,
would you want to do that?
the funny part is when they removed the functionality to do that, the words accompanying the removal were, we didn't really have a use case. But you can imagine, right? It's just like it's like a little hook you can run. You can
Run
have
a
a script.
to set up an environment ahead of time. I mean, I could kind of.
I've never wanted to.
Yeah. So that's funny.
Mhm.
So they just ripped it out.
Yeah. There was a little kerfluffle here. DEF CON was going on, so the researcher disclosed it in a way that the KDE project was not too pleased about because it just showed up on Twitter. And the researcher actually sort of stated that, well, DEF CON was coming up, and I just wanted to get this out there.
And man, that shit really pisses me off. Like the one thing is when you're doing this is be responsible. Be responsible and work with the project. And going on Twitter just to build your personal brand has got to be one of the worst human being things to do, because not only do you make a project look a little foolish because you don't give them the opportunity to work with a heads up that just about everybody else gets, but you're putting real users at risk to make yourself look good.
Yeah, there's just no point.
It's disgusting.
We could have got this solved and pushed out before anyone knew. Now, I doubt that this was being abused in the wild. It's not a super important vulnerability, but still,
How do you
it
think
pays to have good form.
How do you think I got that keylogger on your laptop?
What?
Yeah. Dang it.
Yeah, we'll have links, though. You can go read there is a little white paper about the vulnerability, and you can go see that, well, that feature, it's gone.
Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have perhaps the first modern core boot server platform. Supermicro's X11 SSH-TF, I love the name because it's got SSH in it, is a platform that supports core boot. This platform is the first modern upstream core boot server platform on the market with an Intel Xeon E3-1200 V6 processor, which commonly known as the Kaby Lake DT. Now, Wes, you did a little sleuthing into why Supermicro would be interested in doing this and sort of what the motivations are behind this development. It kind of checks out, kind of makes sense.
Right. So this was over at the 9ESEC site. They've worked with Molvad, which is a VPN provider, and it's all part of the System Transparency Project. And basically the idea is to, get as much of this stuff open sourced and transparent as you can, especially if you're interested as they are as a VPN provider of, being able to guarantee things to their customers about how their systems run. And it's all well and good to have an OS that you can, has audit logs and shows that you're not keeping other logs or exactly what you are keeping. But when you can't trust the firmware, you can't trust anything else.
So true. And you could see from a marketing standpoint, this is a great thing to have on your site. Fully audible platform from the VPN software all the way down to the core boot hardware of this system.
And, as you've seen, if you've ever tried to use core boot, most of the time, anything that supports it is way out of date. But that's just not going to work if you're trying to run a business.
Speaking of core boot, our friends over at System 76 and Emma have a little news around core boot. It appears System 76 is preparing to roll out their first core boot-enabled laptop, which is, I think this news is coming out just ahead of this year's open source firmware conference. I bet those two things are not unrelated, Emma.
It is exciting, and people that pre-order with the open firmware will get to pick up their darters at the conference.
Whoa, nice. Cool. What kind of work has this taken behind the scenes to make this possible? Is there like some sort of crazy mad scientist lab where people are hacking away on firmwares? Has there been some sort of collaboration with another group? Like what has been the engineering side of this?
This has been in-house, led by our lead engineer, Jeremy. He's very big into open firmware and developing in Rust, and he's been putting it on all the laptops. They've taken them apart if needed. They've had to work with Thunderbolt to get proper licensing to include in our core boot. We had to work on suspend issues. Right now, the Darter and the Gazelle both are doing pretty good supporting core boot fully.
So it's these two systems. Is it possible for existing purchasers, like people who have a Darter that maybe they got it 6 months ago, would it be possible for them to switch over to core boot and Linux boot? Or is this only going to be the new systems?
This should be anyone that currently has a Darter should be able to do it. And I'm guessing we'll have people reaching out in support if they want to implement that or test it out. And we'll be happy to give them instructions.
So what's the sales pitch now? Is it user security and privacy? Like, how does System 76 look at this as what is the value this adds to the product?
Well, we want to make sure the entire product is open. So this puts us a step closer to that, moving away from as much proprietary software as we can. And this also lets us get to the lowest level of the hardware so we can maximize performance and just tailor the performance towards users' needs.
I also noticed the brand new shiny 4K OLED display Adder workstation was announced. And this thing is such a monster that we were speculating last week about what its capabilities were. And sure enough, you guys said, well, why don't we send you out a test rig?
Ooh.
So in a few weeks, we may have a review here of the new Adder workstation. What's your take on this new one? I bet you must be pretty impressed. You've seen a lot of laptops come out the doors there, but this one's 4K OLED, RTX 2070 graphics, 8-core Intel i9, 64 gigs of RAM in a laptop. It's crazy.
Yeah, she's a beauty. If anyone picks her up, I'm guessing if you're a laptop namer, it's going to have some like sexy woman name.
Yeah, it seems like a lady with that display. Beautiful eyes, you know. It's a beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
The contrast ratio is actually 100,000 to 1.
Oh.
So the contrast is pretty extreme, and it also has the nits. It's 400 nits, so it's pretty bright as well.
That sounds wonderful. I think we've all been waiting for a laptop like that.
I have a couple of different use cases. I want to bring it in-house and have it see how it processes the drone footage, because that's brought just about every machine down to its knees. And then set it up as a VM machine, maybe attempt to do some PCI pass-through with it. When you're talking specs like this, it's worth giving a go to some of that stuff.
You know what I would like
Yeah,
to
we
use it for?
haven't tried the GPU pass-through yet, but that is on the slate for this week for sure.
Ooh, well, I'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely one of the things I would like to test it out and kind of run it through its paces would be just, rendering out video, Blender work, that sort of stuff. And I mean, they depict it here on the actual landing page for the site. So with that 2070 in there, I mean, you should really be able, in the 4K display, you should really be able to get some high quality graphic and design work done off of this machine.
So is it a desktop class 2070, or is it one of these mobile versions?
I would imagine it's the mobile version, the mobile iteration of
Do
it.
you know, Emma, off the top of your head?
I'm not sure. I haven't taken a peek inside.
Yeah. I'm not going to complain either way, because it's a huge step up from what I've got now. This will also be like one of my first longer-term hands-ons with Pop! OS.
Right.
Looking forward, because I've been waiting. And then the last thing that I know, I've been looking at the specs of this machine. The one thing that I really like so far, just from the outset, is a lot of the big bulky ports are on the back of the laptop. The power, the Ethernet, the HDMI, the display port, a USB-A, NC.
That works so well when you're just setting it up
It's
on
so
a mobile
clean.
desk.
It's so clean. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it, Emma, and I'm really glad you're able to make it back and chat with us about the news. It's great to see the core boot systems. So what's kind of the timeline for that to be just the default when people order one of those machines?
I don't have information on that yet. It's really hard to predict with
Is it kind of
NVIDIA
a watch and
models.
see? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's an ongoing project.
Makes sense.
But I do need to mention one other thing. The Adder is currently on sale for about another month. So if anyone is interested, we do have a 30-day return period. So now is the right time to purchase one.
Okay. Also, kind of just saw this slip through the news, but it's probably worth mentioning too, is that it looks like System 76 has been granted a Thunderbolt license. That seems huge. So that'll be integrated into open firmware.
That's for the core boot. So we can implement Thunderbolt functionality in core boot systems.
So it's great. That's
That is-
fantastic. That was one of the lingering questions I had. That's great to see. Well, Emma, that looks like an awesome release. I can't wait to try it out and kick the tires and see if I can't make it suffer a little bit.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing what you think.
Well, Emma, do keep checking in as you're feeling well and joining us, because it's good to hear from you.
We love to have you.
Will do. Miss you guys.
We missed you too. Glad to see you back. All right. Just a couple of items in the old housekeeping this week. This Friday stream will be the final Friday stream.
Say it ain't
as
so.
we say goodbye to a crazy experiment that will result in a couple of new things that we're doing. So we looked at the Friday stream and said, how could we do this a little differently? And we decided to break it up a little bit. We'll have more information about that soon. Live stream, community, Q&As, things like that that'll be coming down the pipe. But the first takeaway is come see us on Friday, because we have the crew in-house. This Friday, if you're listening the week this came out, we'll also release it, of course, over at FridayStream.com. It's going to just be a fun show with the crew in-house hanging out, and we're launching a brand new feed. We'll tell you all about this later on, but you can find it over at extras.show. Extras.show. All kinds of stuff will be ending up in, stuff that maybe didn't fit in here, an interview here and there, a random minimum viable podcast we're trying, extra content perhaps from today's episode of Linux Unplugged, things like that. That complete keynote from Thomas Cameron from a couple of weeks back, that's in the extras feed. So we've created a new feed of extra content that doesn't quite fit in the other shows, but we wanted something that you could subscribe to and just get it easily.
Right. I mean, when you run out of JB shows, you're already caught up on everything for the week.
What are you going to do?
Now we've got a feed for you.
We don't want you to get the shakes. Extras.show, that's with an S, extras.show, and it's extras.show/subscribe. It's just going to be fun, quick stuff in there that gives us an excuse to kind of play around sometimes, including some stuff that we'll do on the live stream with the community very soon. So we'll tell you all about that. And a nice bit of news on the Linux Academy core side. Transcripts are nearly at 100% now. These are click-along transcripts that make it easy to jump around in the video. And there's a whole new batch of free courses that are available for community members if you sign up for Linux Academy Community, including some Cloud Fundamentals, AWS Security Essentials, and
Kali Deep Dive?
Kali Deep Dive. That's
I know
my
you
favorite.
right.
Yeah. That's worth going making the free account just for that right there.
Absolutely.
Tell you what. So check that out. That's all over at linuxacademy.com. You can sign up and get a free community account. L, right here in our team, curates that stuff. So that's why we mention it from time to time, because it's a good deal. So go check that out, won't you? And much, much more. And keep your ears out on that extras feed, because there'll be a lot of cool stuff coming down that feed. Extras.show/subscribe for that feed. Now, Mr. Payne, there is a problem out there, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
That's
by
the only way
day.
it gets, yeah.
Yeah, and thankfully too. Otherwise, Linux would probably be dead. We'd probably be in a world of hurt. And there's a bunch of different communities that are attempting to solve this huge problem. And as everybody listening to this show likely knows, the Linux kernel is a huge project, and it's a huge project that not only grows in size, but it grows in contributors every single month.
Okay, so how many?
Oh, I had the wrong clip.
Wrong clip alert.
I forgot
Wrong
that was
clip
for the.
alert.
Hold on. That's for the post show.
That's why we do this stuff live, folks.
Spoiler. Now you know what the post show might have in it. Spoiler. Is that?
Don't spoil it.
Sorry. Was that too much?
Wow.
The laugh at the end was
Is that
too
where?
much. That was
okay.
too much.
All right, so I shouldn't have done that bit.
No.
But the rest.
The rest was
The
solid.
rest played. It
The
played.
rest was solid. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. We got to get that instant demo feedback. All right. Here we go. Oh. All right. All right. I'll back up a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a jumbo Friday.
Yeah, I know.
This Friday.
I know. All right, edit point here in 3, 2. And a bunch of different communities are trying to solve this big problem that everyone listening to this show knows about, and that's the kernel is a huge project. It grows in size and contributors every single month.
On average, most releases have somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 developers making contributions.
Yeah, that's Major Hayden. He's a principal software engineer at Red Hat.
And something on the order of 200 to 300 of those are brand new. Like they've never made a contribution to the kernel before.
He's going to be joining us in just a moment. And he's going to talk about a big project they're working on to try to solve this issue. Major's here to give us some background on this, and it's the continuous integration project. It's a really cool idea to kind of try to catch the low-hanging fruit with how fast the Linux kernel is moving.
There are some challenges there, and I would say Greg Crow-Hartman's got a couple of really good talks on this particular topic. One of the challenges, I guess the biggest challenge, is that it moves incredibly fast. Like the project is large and moves fast. Last I looked, it was the fastest moving open source project that was out there by a good amount, even way past Kubernetes. I think it does if you take all the commits that have gone into Kubernetes, that's about 2.5 versions of kernel development. So that's about 2.5 releases worth. So we're talking fast.
Yeah, and so their idea here is, let's come up with something that can monitor this and send it out across multiple systems, architectures.
Right. I mean, it's just a wide test base. The Linux kernel runs everywhere, as we say all the time, and that means you got to test it everywhere.
And you have tons of different options when you're building it.
Yeah, can you imagine doing this by hand? All right, I make a couple changes. I'm going to go compile that kernel. I'm going to go distribute it on like 6 different machines and architectures that I have to keep in my office to test this, and then I'm going to test it, come back, wait, see if anything's changed, and then repeat over and over and over again.
That statistic, the Kubernetes entire product is 2.5 kernel versions.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And you think of Kubernetes as this massive project, right?
Well, yeah, there was just that review done of it this week, some security thing, and it took them months.
Yeah. 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 And then you have new contributors. You have subsystems that are on esoteric hardware. It's really a challenge. So that's where this continuous integration project comes in.
This project came about because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in the kernel that can easily be tested. There's quite a few things that you can test in a VM or you can test on a physical host, let's say, that are very easy to test like internally with just that one machine. And so the question was asked, why don't we make automation that just runs these tests to catch the low-hanging fruit? Because the idea is we want to take Red Hat kernel developers and not have them go deal with these, like small, easy to fix problems that slow them down and make them have to go find a solution. But instead, let's catch these problems before the patch gets merged in the first place. So if someone says, hey, I'm bringing in these 10 patches, and then we find that when they do that, all of a sudden memory allocation issues pop up. Like you can't allocate memory like you could before, or it's just not structured in the way that you want to. Then you can call that out. Someone could say, oh, there's a bug in there. The nice thing about that is you can find the bug right then when the patch is being proposed, instead of later on when quality engineering is taking a look at a lot of changes, not just the kernel, but a whole lot of things that are changing and trying to work backwards and figure out where the problem was.
In our chat with Major, one of the things that he pointed out was that, okay, we can solve this from a technology standpoint, but there's the human factor as well. And there's a couple different projects, but the one that the continuous integration project is working with to solve for the human factor is called, was it Patchwork, Wes?
Yeah, Patchwork. I mean, if you think about it, Linux kernel development is done in its own style. It's kind of an older style. You're on the mailing list. And while, of course, there are Git mirrors everywhere, it's kind of secondary. So you need to get the culture, understand how to interact with that, and you need a bridge to actually help the tooling work.
There's a few software projects out that help with that. There's a big one called Patchwork, and it essentially reads through a mailing list and watches the emails as they come in and tries to figure out which of these patches go together. So a kernel developer might submit a patch and say, okay, I want to change the way this works. It takes 10 patches to make this change. And so they submit all 10 patches to the mailing list. And then what Patchwork will do is go and say, okay, wait a minute. This was one contribution from one developer. It has 10 pieces. These go together. And so then inside the web interface, you can go and look at all these patches together in one place. And of course, there's an API as well. So if you have automation, you can actually just pull down the patches, or what we call a patch series, when Patchwork sticks them together into one patch series. So that way you can test them. That way you can report back status on them and that kind of thing. But it's a software project completely over on the side from the mailing list.
Now, think about this for a moment. They thought they could replace all of this automated stuff, and they ended up running into this human problem where people have been doing it a certain way for a long time, have this that works for them. They got software that archives it. It's plain text. It's searchable. They got filters set up that have been working for them for years. It's part of a workflow. And you can't deny the kernel's successful, so obviously it must work.
Yeah. And, I mean, you're not going to change that, right? I mean, that's established. So if you're going to build something to work with it, that's your only option. Patchwork
is an incredible effort to sort of solve a human problem and automate it at the same time. We'll have a link in the show notes if you want to know more about it. And if you'd like us to dig into those kinds of projects, go to linuxunplugged.com/contact and send us feedback. If you'd like us to deep dive into some of that stuff, you definitely can. Now, what's great is the way they're doing this. And even though it requires an incredible amount of infrastructure, they need System 390s. They need every various ARM system that's in production. They need lots of different Intel and AMD systems. The end result, hopefully, is improvements upstream.
And so as part of this, we asked the question, well, if we do this really well and we keep things from getting into the rel kernel that's not supposed to be there, what if we could do this for upstream? So what if we could do this for an upstream kernel repository of some sort and not only be able to catch it earlier, but then catch it in a way such that we can help upstream development and help test and help maintainers actually know what's okay to go in the kernel and what's not.
All right, I'm going to pause there because that's incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
So I'm going to pause there. Oh my God, this is the first time we've ever been able to pause a LUP recording.
Everything local.
And what I'll do is I'll play those, and then I think you and I should just mention the OpenQA stuff to wrap it up like we did before.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll go grab the OpenQA stuff real quick. This is like a special edition right now. This is where we wait for
It's a good song. I like that song.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. This is an even better song now.
I like this.
Hello,
Hey!
Oh, hello, Alan.
Is that real Popey or is that Popey soundboard?
We never know. We never
I'm
know.
not allowed to use Popey soundboard anymore. I was yelled at. So
Aww.
You should just get a Mycroft instead. That would work.
What if we only use clips of him when he's in squirrel mode?
No, he hates that the most, I think.
I think I fixed
Did
squirrel
you? You
mode
sound really
and
good.
Barry White mode. I think they're both fixed.
You sound on point, sir. You sound on point. All right. Well, we actually had just paused because we were about.
I know. I was listening.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
He sounds like he should not be on NPR today.
You sound really good today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
Yep. You sound sexy.
The lows are very nice.
All right.
What
so
the hell has changed? I don't know.
we're coming back now.
The lows.
In 3, 2.
Okay, so how many software testers does it need to change a light bulb? None, because software testers don't make changes. They would just report that there's darkness.
There are many, many different continuous integration projects, and OpenQA is probably another very popular one. We'll have a link to a talk in the show notes.
This talk is about OpenQA, the heart of OpenSUSE's automated testing. I'm Ludwig. I'm employed by SUSE, and I was, and still I am, one of the engineers behind OpenQA, where it is now.
OpenSUSE is a huge project, and so they're one of many that take advantage of OpenQA.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's just too complex to test by hand, right? There's too many little things that can change. You have a giant collection of software to handle. So solving that problem, they introduced OpenQA. And one thing that's kind of neat about OpenQA is it replicates things the way a human might interact with, simulated keyboard and mouse inputs. So you can test a huge range of software that might not be amenable to other testing methods.
Yeah, and Fedora, as we've talked about before on the show, considers OpenQA a, quote, significant part of their release validation process.
And that's one of the great things about open source, right? I mean, one distribution solves a problem and another one can just take advantage of it.
I know, it is. And I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Popey is joining us now mid-show. Popey, welcome to the Unplugged program. I know you've messed around with Jenkins a bit. Is there any kind of continuous integration going on over at Canonical for some of the projects there that you're aware of?
Oh my God, tons of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Yeah. We use a little bit of Jenkins, and we also use something called Spread, which Spread does all the testing for Snapd across a whole bunch of different distros.
Ooh.
So we know that Snapd and Snaps work across different distros before we ship it.
Ah, of course. It makes perfect sense in the Snap scenario.
And don't we appreciate it?
So you have essentially VMs that are running the different distros that Snap could potentially run on, and then when a new build's out, it deploys to those and tests to see if everything's working?
Yep. Does it for every pull request as well. So the more active they are, the more of these machines get spun up. Yeah, they get busy.
That's great. I noticed we had a pull request for the Caster Soundboard project on our Jupiter Broadcasting GitHub from the app image maintainer. And he said, apply this patch to your project, and every time you do a build now, I'll just pull it down and I'll automatically build an app image of Caster Soundboard.
Sweet.
Gave us instructions to get it hooked up, and then using Travis CI, it'll just sort of build it for us.
Yeah, it's a Travis CI pipeline, and it's a good example of how you can solve a problem like developing the Linux kernel with this unbelievable amount of problem domain or it can come all the way down to a simple open source soundboard that we use here in the network.
Yeah, the same techniques work all over the place.
Yeah, it's really you got to solve these problems at machine speed. Is really what it is.
We use Travis a lot for a lot of the snaps we build, and at the recent Snapcraft Summit in Montreal, we had some guys from Travis CI come along because they want to streamline how they deliver software to the machines that are actually doing the builds, because obviously they're spinning up thousands of these machines all day, every day. And, it's very noticeable for them when Silicon Valley wakes up and everyone starts committing the code that they've made, and all these Travis CI jobs start spinning up. That's a lot of workload. So they're constantly trying to optimize these machines to start as fast as possible and have all the compilers and all the other build tools, the whole build chain in those machines as fast as possible. So they spin up and spin down super fast. It's super fascinating stuff. It really is.
Yeah. I would imagine it'd be the kind of thing that if I was still in IT, I'd probably be building. Probably the kind of things I'd be standing up now. Totally a tangent thing, but is it just me, or do you Canonical folk have a lot more of these sprints these days? It seems like they went from a couple of times a year to one a quarter almost.
So there is a lot of them, but there's different types. We have engineering sprints, which we tend to have every 6 months, and roadmap sprints, which are every 3 months, and then the Snapcraft summits, which are like ad hoc. There's a fair number of events going on at the moment. There's a lot of air travel and getting around. Yeah, it's good fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you don't mind. It can be fun. But you guys you tend to do them in pretty nice locations. I've been following along on Telecast for Popey recently.
It's fun.
It is fun. Is there like a URL you give out for that people, if we should give it out?
That's very kind of you. Yeah, if you have to be
a Telegram user.
A Telegram user, but what I did was I exported all of the episodes that I made out, and I've put them on my website. So there's a recent tweet flow from me about this. But if you just go to t.me/telecast with Popey, you'll get to the channel where all the Telegram episodes are.
Learn everything about beer and curry you ever wanted to know, and more.
You had the most English telecast the other day where you were walking from home to the pub to get picked up by your friends to go get curry, and I just was listening. Yeah. It's so fun because it's like, what, at most like 7-10 minutes ever, and sometimes much less. So it's like, who doesn't have time for that?
Right. It's that's what I wanted it to be. It's just like ad hoc, just me having a little chat, whatever's on my mind at the time. So I don't have to go through the whole effort of creating an episode of something and publishing it somewhere and RSS feeds and all that nonsense. I just press record in Telegram, and the thoughts come out of my brain, out of my mouth, and into the phone, and I give it a preview listen and then hit send, and that's it. Nothing more than that.
Right. I think you're way ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, so now my last two questions are. Are you going to be back on Ubuntu podcast now that you're done traveling, or is more traveling ahead?
So we just recorded 2 episodes before I dropped in here. So yeah, I'm back on. Martin's out because he's on vacation. So I'm back in and Martin's out. And I think in 2 weeks' time, we'll have our first one with all 3 of us back for a while. Yeah.
Wow. And then last but not least, how great is User Air turning out? Did you have any idea how great this would be?
I see it as just like 3 guys chatting, and I have no idea. Like,
I don't know.
It's nice when you say nice things, Chris. It's when we get nice comments. We also get horrible comments,
of course,
mostly on YouTube. From
can I just say,
people are listening?
Can I just say, not only have I been making podcasts for 13, 14 years now, but I've been listening to them for just as long, and this is one of my favorite podcasts of all time.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Joe and Daniel put a lot of effort in.
Oh, so, come on. Really, it's always you I'm nodding my head to. I'm always like, yeah, that's right, Popey, that's right.
He's so reasonable.
Well, and I've got kids like he does too, so it's like...
Yes, as Joe calls me, centrist dad.
My wife referred to you the other day, Popey, as that guy who said something about bed sheets.
Oh my God.
It's it's like the only show I get to listen to with my wife too. There's that. And I think a big part of what makes it work is Daniel Foray from Elementary is willing to take a bit of, as you would say, a piss. Like, he'll just sit there and he'll just dig himself in deeper.
Take
He'll
the piss.
take the piss, not
What is it?
not
I'm sorry.
a piss.
Hold on. Joe came in studio just to correct me. Hold on.
Take the piss, not take a piss.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Popey. I'm going to go and wait for my pizza now.
Joe's here. It's a whole family reunion right now. We're working on a new super secret show, So, yeah, very secret. So we've got. Secret. I even flew Drew and Elle and Joe, who haven't been on show. They're here too. So we've got in studio. We've got Cheese and we've got Brent and we've got Alex and
it's a whole JB party.
Wes and myself, and we're working on some new secret stuff. It's very exciting.
So one thing I would have to say is, if any of the listeners want us to answer any particular question, they just have to let us know with #AskError.
Yeah.
Ping us in the JB Telegram or in IRC. You know where to find us. Just ping any one of us with your crazy questions for us to ask.
What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
They get some great questions. So whatever medium you like to talk to these guys, #AskError, and it'll show up on their radar, and then they ponder them in the show, and it leads to some of the best conversation and discussions. So, yeah. Well, Popey, it's good to have you here, and thanks for giving us the canonical side of that. That's it's an interesting perspective on how they use continuous integration. It makes total sense for snaps. All right, I'm going to pause there. I got to go ask Joe something. Hey, Joe!
Yeah, seriously, Popey, my wife freaking loves user error, and she was in stitches about.
I didn't grab that ahead of time. I totally forgot.
The duvet conversation.
Oh,
what, they're cleaning it after?
Yes, the J
okay, I'll
word.
go grab it.
You want me to fetch? Oh, you can. Okay.
No, that's all right. I can get it. Since we're all in studio, I
had
the recording.
no idea. I mean, I've stayed in American hotels, and I had no idea that it was just a thing.
So when
that
I
you don't put
when
a
I
cover on a
emigrated,
duvet.
I had to stand in Bed Bath and Beyond for several hours googling what on earth they do with their bed sheets. Trying to buy the right stuff.
Are you shitting me?
No.
Wow.
It was one of the biggest cultural differences for me, because like a sheet is different from a duvet, from a comforter.
To duvet or not to duvet.
Oh man, it's so confusing. Particularly as I live in a different climate now as well. So it's like, what do I buy? It's crazy. And king size American is the same. Well, we don't have that big. An American queen.
Don't have king size, huh?
American queen is the same size as the British king.
Whoa, I couldn't, man.
And so on down the line. But so we just generally don't have an American king size in England.
Joe, is there any kind of setup I need to do for this clip
a lot
at all?
of king size things.
Yeah, we got king size everything.
You need a king size soda, king size fry.
Just that it's a clip from each of us talking
Okay.
about the distro.
Can I say what distro it is? It's PC Linux OS, right?
No, Endless OS.
No, you already did Endless. I think this must be PC Linux OS.
No, this is.
Oh
This is
God.
the clip from the last.
This is a clip from the last one.
Peeling back the future.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, how would we have a clip from the next one that we haven't recorded?
Oh, I thought you already recorded. I wanted it from the
You don't time travel yet, Joe?
I want it ahead of time. I want the good stuff. All right, thank you, Joe. All right. Okay, we're gonna pick back up.
You need to pull some strings, Chris, and
Jesus
get that
Christ.
future content.
Yeah, whoever is bosses ought to look into that. All right,
What a jackass.
here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, while we are talking about other great podcasts, you notice we don't do quite as many distro reviews. We still do a few.
Now and then.
We do like the big benchmark ones,
Yeah,
right?
the ones we can't not do.
But if you want a review from folks who just can't seem to scratch that distro hop itch, check out Choose Linux. Here's a clip from each of them on the most recent distro they randomly tried, which is one I haven't given a go yet, Endless OS.
I know that we start almost every single distro hop segment with, well, Elle, I see you had some issues, but not this time. This time, I'm in love. This is what I thought an operating system was supposed to be like. When people tell me about how they use Windows, and it's just simple, and you go and you use it.
I would say that this is the prettiest GNOME retrofit that I've ever seen, too. It is almost on par with how good Deep In looks.
I can see what you're getting at, Elle, but it's just too simple for me.
Endless OS.
So it's the man who uses XFCE.
Nice. Also, shout out to XFCE Project, had a release this week. Shout out. At Choose Linux. They have they're also throwing in a few picks here and there. I don't know. I might just stop doing the show and just listen to them.
Yeah, we can learn everything we need.
Mm-hmm. Just listen to them.
Can you remind me, Endless? It's It's sort of what it's trying to achieve. Or
I can't remember who it was from Endless on. I am so sorry. I feel so bad about that.
Brent, you just got to go to chooselinux.show.
Yeah, I guess
Was
so.
it Noritzi?
No,
Endless?
it was before Noritzi. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names.
Ned?
Jim.
Stop it.
Jake.
You guys are trolling me now. But Endless...
No, Ned was.
Michael.
No, he moved from another company, I think it was yours, Bopey, to Endless.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I interviewed him, but I can't remember what it was, who he was, because I'm on the spot. And if I wasn't on the spot, I would remember. But this is why I don't test well.
Disappointing. But my question was really, it's just if you could remind me.
What is Endless?
Yeah.
So it's an attempt to make a consumer-friendly version of the GNOME shell. They write it as an endless operating system that is simple and easy for anyone to use. They bundle it with hardware as well. And they have gone through several iterations. They've tried to make it for developing nations. They've attempted to go after prisons. And,
Right.
Yeah.
You've just sort of...
Michael Hall.
Yeah,
Michael, I
there you go.
apologize. It's not you, Michael. It's me. I think, is there some sort of clinical thing I could blame it on why I can't remember people's
Sleep.
names? Oh, yeah, right. I have sleep apnea. Yeah, right. Thank you. God, see? This is why I have a studio full of people.
We're here for you, bud.
We got your
Thank
back.
you. All right, well, let's do our pick this week. Now, everybody's always talking about their tiling window managers. And I'm like, yeah, I know about your i3. Yeah, I know about your awesome. But I like me a traditional desktop environment. That's always been my go-to line. Well, Wes, today we are going to have our cake, and we are going to have it with a delicious side of ice cream.
That sounds great.
Yeah, right? It's called QuickTile.
Keyboard-driven window tiling for your existing window manager.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Existing window manager. Well, existing X11 window manager.
So
that is.
everybody's existing window manager.
Hey now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in Choose Linux, they were reviewing OBS. And now it's like the reviews are getting to the point where you got to like start making the OBS disclaimer. Or I'm sorry. When you're reviewing OBS, you got to like start making the Wayland disclaimer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like a lot of this stuff doesn't work because...
Yeah, or on Wayland, it's just, it's going to be rough.
We're getting there. We're all very hopeful about Pipewire.
So what my plan is to just hang out on XFCE, on X11 for a long time, and I'll just add a little window tiling key binding magic to my XFCE desktop.
With QuickTile.
Yeah, so that's where QuickTile comes in. It's an analog also to WinSplit, and if you remember that was an old school. There was WinSplit and WinSplit Revolution, which were plugins for Compiz. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you
got nothing.
You don't know what I'm talking about, really? Oh my God! Oh, Wes, show them the wobbly windows real quick.
Oh yeah, and I still got the.
So, Brent, take a look. Tell me what you think about these wobbly windows. What do you think of that? Is that fluff or is that fun? What do you think right there?
Yeah. Or watch what happens when I close a window.
Yeah, watch this. Come on now, okay. Honest, your first impression.
Okay, the wobbly windows I think is super fun.
It sparks joy.
Oh yeah, I can't
it?
stop smiling. You're seeing it. I can't stop smiling. So, I will say I'm a fan of that. The exploding windows, I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt a little cheesy.
But imagine like you're angry and you want to close something.
And you just explode it.
You know what was even better is back in the day they had burn down windows. So you could close it and it would fire effect and it would burn down.
I'd be okay with like turning the old CRT TVs off.
Yeah.
I'd
that would be great.
In Plasma, one of the fun things you can do is you can set it so that your windows gray out when the application crashes, which is kind of a neat effect.
I think I have that in Plasma.
Yeah. You set
great.
that up?
Oh, yeah.
So
No, I didn't set it
You
up.
could turn on the wobbly windows.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Careful.
just under desktop effects.
I mean, you got
K1 is
that GPU sitting there doing nothing, right?
Most of the time.
I mean, all those engineers work to build that GPU for something. Might as well put it to the...
I don't even notice anymore. I feel bad showing it because the wobble doesn't seem like it's very wobbly anymore.
You could up the wobble if you want.
Oh,
of course,
you're
it's
right.
Plasma, so you could increase the wobble factor if you want to increase the wobble factor. Popey will not be increasing the wobble factor because he did something that is so 2019 Linux personality that I love and also fully appreciate. So on Twitter, which God only knows why he chose to do this, he announced that he was switching away from Plasma. And then, was it 6 successive tweets explaining how it's okay that you're switching away from Plasma and that everybody else's choices are okay too?
Yeah. I don't like this whole, internet Z-list celebrity has switched from distro A to distro B, the sky is falling rubbish. So I just had to super clarify everything in a complete succession of tweets.
I liked it, though, because you referenced back the first tweet of when you actually installed KDE Neon. And what are you on now? Are you just on mainline Ubuntu? What do you
Ubuntu 1904 with GNOME.
What was the? Was it just time for just trying something else, or what was the impetus?
Do you know the actual trigger to this was last week's LUP?
Oh, really?
When I came in and my audio was all messed up. I've tried so many things and I couldn't figure out what the hell it was. So I thought, okay, there's got to be something fundamental on my system. I don't know what it is and I don't know who to file a bug against or what project to file a bug against. So I decided, right, let's just upgrade to the latest of everything. And if it still happens, then I can start looking for where the bug is.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't happened yet, I don't think. Which is partly why I'm here to test that this actually works.
I'm wondering if your impression, not even necessarily from like a technical level, but just my impression is the GNOME audio stack just seems a little simpler. Like it just seems like it's sitting right on top of Pulse, and whatever Pulse is doing, that's what GNOME's doing.
Well, I think part of it is that KDE gives you knobs and buttons to switch. So Plasma gives you like things you can tweak, and because the GNOME desktop doesn't, it's harder to shoot yourself in the foot. And I think it's entirely possible that I've twiddled something in KDE at some point in the last 18 months, which has made this go bad. And I don't know what that is. That's possible. But there are lots of other possibilities as well. Hardware failure. It could be Pulse Audio is rubbish. There's so many things. I can't point the finger at any one thing. But yeah, the audio subsystem on GNOME seems to be simpler.
You sound great. You sound great today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what matters. I
Can't
suppose.
argue with that.
Yeah, I find that I hop about every 9 months now. It's about my
It's the problem when all the options are so good.
It's all good. We're gonna do some reloading here in the studio. In fact, we were thinking about having an on-air debate about what we reload to. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should.
Do you have enough hard drive space for that?
I'm becoming less and less attracted to nuking and paving a system.
Mm-hmm.
So I built an Arch system a year ago. It turned 1 year old on July 27th. And I've got it set up just the way I like it. And I don't know if this is just because I've now been using Linux for long enough that I can actually troubleshoot my problems sufficiently that nuking and paving is no longer a requirement to get a stable system, or whether it's just because I've just become so comfortable in this pair of old, worn-out, comfy shoes that now it's like I just don't feel the desire to nuke and pave like I used to. I mean, I have a Proxmox server in my basement that I can just spin stuff up on, and my laptop and my desktop are work horses now, and they just need to work.
It's true. There is an element of you have to know enough about a system, because half the re-kicks that happen on our team are we did something weird and we got to start again.
And if you keep doing it every time, you don't ever quite learn what it was that broke it. But you always have to do that math. Like, my time is worth XYZ.
Exactly.
I know it'll take me 2 hours to re-kick this thing. I know it'll take me 5 hours to troubleshoot it, ish,
an infinite
or more.
unknown amount of time.
Exactly. But Popey said something in one of his recent telecasts with Popey that I had to respond back, because he said Popey, you were talking about upgrades and how people are always like, we almost have like a wipe and pave or a nuke and pave culture that just sort of is the default answer. And it's not necessarily always the best way to go. Sometimes just upgrading for a while actually is the best way.
Yeah, I've long lamented the fact that that people will say don't upgrade because upgrades are broken, and therefore you should always do a clean install. And I appreciate, sometimes they are broken, and part of the problem here is that people do all kinds of crazy things to their machines and then forget they've ever done that, and then 6 months later they go to upgrade, and something they've done is so fundamental that the upgrade breaks. Now, part of that is they then blame us the distro maintainer
Yeah.
because we make a shonky distro that can't upgrade properly. Yet they ripped out core components of the desktop 6 months ago, but they don't remember because this was just a command they copy and pasted off of a blog somewhere in order to get a new theme or to get a new splash screen in Grub.
Disable
right?
System D or something stupid.
Or something ludicrous like that.
Did you
But they
guys
don't
hear
know
that?
they did
Did
it.
you hear that I've switched from System D? It's great.
Troll.
Yeah. But part of the problem is us in that when we leave people in a really horrible state, when an upgrade breaks, you're left with often a black screen or no way to log in, or if you do log in, your desktop doesn't load properly or something, and that's horrible. And when you're in that state as a user, what are you going to do? You're going to nuke and pave, and then you're going to get it in your head that that's the right way to upgrade, and so it becomes ingrained behavior.
And see, for me, this is one of the big advantages of building an Archbox, is I know every command that went into building that thing, and I had to go and learn why I'm running that particular command. Whereas, as you say, copying and pasting something to piping it to shell is very easy and tempting, but it can lead to problems down the road that you just don't foresee because you don't understand what it is you did.
I love Arch, so don't get me wrong, but here's the context for the rest of the audience. Before the show, we were discussing what OS we're going to deploy in the studio after today's show. We have a couple of things we just need to address. Some of these machines were either set up as Kubuntu or Neon, and now they're running XFCE, and we just want to do a clean install, so it's just a base system. Start fresh. And we want to do it before there's a lot of issues. There's a couple of niggly things we've noticed. And then, of course, because it's a group full of Linux geeks, the debate of what distro we should use has been the number one.
Make this simple.
Oh, yeah.
No, it really is the serious point of contention. So Alex is advocating for Arch. Drew is essentially advocating for Ubuntu LTS. And I'm on the fence leaning towards Fedora.
You say that, but you want Fedora. You'll be happy to see Fedora chosen.
Yeah, I would be.
More Ubuntu.
So I'm gonna make my. I'll start. I'll make my. So Alex just made his case for Arch. I will counter that with. We started with Arch. We started with Arch, and now here we are.
May I add that one of the additional problems that I doubt Alex has that we would have in the studio is you like to do upgrades immediately before live shows because that's when you're here in the studio working on the machine.
There is a little bit of that,
and it's fine. Like most, when you do the upgrades, when you have time and a safe space, Arch is fine. It's very stable.
I've stopped doing that.
Okay,
but
you say so.
Well,
you got checked.
Okay, maybe I haven't completely 100% stopped, but I've reduced.
I want this to be a soundboard clip.
I've moderated.
That 3 seconds was amazing.
No, I think for me, it's like I've always felt like a little bit of like spitting into the wind, but it is also like me saying my operating system should be able to handle this. Like, so you probably saw this week that Canonical announced that the absolute latest and greatest version of Ubuntu LTS now has like a nice GUI way to sign up for the live patch service.
Yeah.
Get yourself an Ubuntu One account, and then you can patch 3 machines for free, and you can do it all through the GUI, and then you're secure through reboots for some of the more important ones. That's super appealing to me in a studio environment. And so initially I envisioned like deploying Ubuntu LTS everywhere, bringing it all into landscape, using live patch to manage them. And then I started having sound problems, which we've documented, and we've resolved for the most case by switching up to Jack. It's pretty much solved our problems. But now we're sitting here with these systems that are sort of Frankensteined, and I've had a lot of experience in the last 9 months. I don't know, how long has it been?
Yeah,
6-9 months
this year. You've been
messing with Fedora, and it seems like a very clean, reliable system that has good, solid upgrades. And Drew himself has some good experience with it.
Doesn't hurt that our editor loves it.
And between the two of you, like we can pretty much pull anything off with Jack Audio. So I kind of feel like maybe it's time to just switch to Fedora, and then we have Fedora on the server and on the systems. And that's the part that appeals to me the most is one common OS, one common environment. The server's running Fedora, my laptop's running Fedora, the studio systems are running Fedora. Everything is the same environment.
Yeah. And you're kind of the primary admin. You're here in the studio the most. You're using the machines the most, so that's not for nothing.
Right. But I don't want to do it at the expense of software availability or reduced production quality. And so that's where I wonder if Drew has a case for Ubuntu LTS.
So I do, but before I get to that case, I will say I am already maintaining a group of packages that do what we need it to do for my own use, because I use Fedora on my workstations as well.
I know, that's why I think it's funny that you're going to come in here and advocate for Ubuntu.
So I would be comfortable with the studio having Fedora. To me, it does make sense. What I like about Ubuntu LTS is the long-standing nature of it. Fedora 30 is going to be supported until, 2 years after release, right? So, and we'd probably bump up to 31 after that arrives. And there's just, it's a lot of upgrading, and it is targeting a use case that is more agile than a production machine like a recording studio, to me, should be. So
I will grant you, going Fedora is conceding that we are getting on an upgrade tread machine.
Yes. So that is why I think the Ubuntu LTS route is probably the better route for a production machine. Workstations, those can be great and agile, and that's what I do at home. But if you want something to be fairly static and work the same way every time, an LTS is kind of to me, it's the right way to go. And the Ubuntu Studio repositories are fantastic. They have everything that I put in my Fedora They have everything that I put in my Fedora repositories already in there. So really,
how do people find that repo?
If you just do a Google search for Ubuntu Studio
Fedora Copper
PPA. Oh, for my repository.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. If you just do a search on the Fedora Copper for Drew of Doom or Linux Pro Audio, they'll find it.
Yeah, because it's actually really nice. Some of those tools have not been on Fedora before this, so it's actually really nice that you're doing that. So, Wes, here's my argument. My counter argument, because everything Drew said, can't argue with that.
No, not at
Absolutely
all.
solid, especially when you add the fact that we could use live patch, so we could actually even keep the system secure without having to reboot them. That's super attractive. And I would only need like these 3 systems. It doesn't need to be more than that. But you're working on Jack in the Box, which is a project to take a lot of the audio routing and put it inside a Docker container and sort of normalize the desktop in the OS. And if we were to roll out something like that, it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the flip side of we could adopt Ubuntu LTS, but eventually we will have to upgrade. And it's going to be a long time, possibly. That's good and bad. If we do go with Fedora, we're going to get a lot of practice following the upgrade path.
Well, and then also I think we could probably take advantage more quickly of things like Pipewire as well.
Right. So I think it's kind of the difference between what Drew's suggesting and making them really appliances, like things we'd be, you find in a rack you don't futz with.
Right.
And as much as we do use these as a production machine, they're also content sometimes. And, we are still adapting our pipeline, how we do the shows, and we probably are going to continue doing that for a while.
Part of me wants to use these shows as a way to push forward the most modern way to develop audio.
Right.
And we're doing some super freaking cool stuff with Linux audio right now. Alex, I know you want to jump in. I want to give you a chance.
Yeah, I do. So I've been looking in the fedoraproject.org website whilst you've been talking, and the average lifespan of a Fedora release hovers around, the shortest is 330 days, so just under a year. The longest is 420 days, and that was Fedora 22. But on average, it seems to hover around that 380 mark. So you are, signing up to get on this train of upgrading at least every 9 months, by the looks of it.
That's what I estimate.
And that's
too.
my biggest concern, really, is that having to upgrade, it could be at a really inconvenient time, because these releases come, they say every 6 months with Fedora, but they also have a big disclaimer underneath that says it'll be approximately 6 months, depending. It'll be done when it's done, is the disclaimer. So it could end up shifting slightly. So it won't be like, okay, it's May, Linux Fest Northwest is out the way, we can safely upgrade this box now. You might end up having to wait a bit. And so, I mean, for me, a rolling distro, you never really have to worry about that kind of stuff. I can also see where Drew's coming from, though, with the LTS being a minimum to probably 4 years worth of updates and stuff. I mean, for me, I'd probably go that route, right? I mean,
yeah, 1804 is really in that sweet spot right now.
It's really good. And, you know, one other option that hasn't been floated, CentOS.
If you're doing everything in a container, it doesn't make it. You're not giving up what the thing Chris said. He doesn't want to give up software availability. If you're doing it on CentOS and everything's in a container, then
part of me feels like I'm like not participating. Like I'm watching Linux from the benches if I'm using CentOS.
Yeah.
You have a laptop for that. You have.
I know.
These are production machines that just need to work.
Well, here's what kind of landing on like. Go ahead.
I have a proposition for you, Chris. How about you do whatever it is you're going to do now, and then you'll get it out of your system, and then in 9 months' time, switch to 2004 LTS, where you can have ZFS en route, and then you can do snapshots before you do your upgrades, and then you won't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Oh, he has a point there.
It's very logical. It's very as the good Mr. Spock would say, logical. I guess I'm struggling to come up with a reason now. I think we've made a good case for the LTS, especially since the package availability is there from the other flavors. I guess what would you propose is our solution then for the variance between production and workstations?
I mean, we work for a company called Linux Academy, right? I think it's.
You think we can solve that problem?
I think it's a good thing to be familiar with multiple different flavors of Linux.
You're right.
I agree.
You know, I mean,
You're
as host of Choose Linux, I ought to be right. But yeah, no, it's. I don't see any reason to pigeonhole ourselves into saying, "Oh, we run Fedora only," or "We run Ubuntu only," or any. To me, I like being familiar with multiple different systems, and I feel comfortable administrating them all.
All right. So let's do it then. Let's do, I think we should do Ubuntu.
Yeah.
1804 LTS right here. That'll be what we reload the system to.
We just got to make sure it's decent, because like there's some XFCE going on right now, and some of the window management, it's kind of bare bones.
What, are you proposing something else?
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, we want to make sure it's
He wants
easy
those
to
wobbly
use.
windows.
Well, that wouldn't hurt.
Can I tell you about our app?
Okay, we got to make sure we install a dock.
What about QuickTile? What about using QuickTile?
Yeah, it is also Python, so we could probably script it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've whipped together a couple of hacks using XRander, which has been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
We could expand on that. But you're right. XFCE does lack some modern window rules and stuff like that are super nice in Plasma.
I'm just saying we should think about those things as we go forward. Thankfully, on the LTS, it really doesn't matter what base distribution we choose, right? We can mix it up and install it. Wesley Payne, you're coming at me. You're coming at me with questions, not solutions, right now. To me, you're just. I don't know what you mean. You mean we can't use Ubuntu? Like my head's spinning now. Like my whole world is falling apart. No, I just want you to trick it out for me.
Oh.
Yeah. Adopting a distro like a religion is stupid.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks.
Very well.
So,
said.
what are your feelings on the current iteration of Ubuntu with GNOME as the default? Like, how do you feel about GNOME these days? Because I know you've had a.
Actually, I think GNOME looks great. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but one of our team members here is trying it out, and I was looking over his or her shoulder, and gosh, it looks so good. It just looks so good. It's just not what I need for production appliance systems. I actually would prefer nothing has a no compositor, no special 3D effects, no nothing.
i3 then. Let it.
All right.
Oof.
Cheese, did you hear what he just said?
He said i3 on a production machine. I'm glad you guys. I just was listening to all you guys hash it out. The reality is that Drew is right. Is that you should use the LTS because
maybe we should do i3.
Long-term support, fellers.
Hey, what do you think? Should we give
ZFS?
i3 a go?
Yeah, if you're down, let's do it.
I mean, i3 is great.
Let's give it a go, and then we'll say we'll give it a review in next week.
You want to put a cheat sheet on the wall next to you.
You're gonna need it.
Good call.
You're gonna need it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. So make sure you tune back next Tuesday. You can join us live over at jblive.tv. Get it converted at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar, and see you next Tuesday.
people who like to mess with computers. If you're, and you know who you are, if you're somebody who doesn't want to mess with it, I just want to surf, just want to buy something on Amazon, send an email to my kids, look at some websites. If that's you, you don't want to mess with it, probably not a good choice.
What was that hesitation before? Look at some what's
funny is Leo actually now he's a pretty happy desktop Linux user.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, times have changed.
Amazing.
In fact, he's replacing a system right now and putting a Linux box in.
We did have some comments that wanted to come in through the mumbles too about their about the upgrade paths.
Oh yeah, girl, what's that?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
What do we have? Conan.
Conan, did you have? Oh yeah, of course. And also, we need the flock update. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Let's get a special intro here. This is the bonus round of the show, a flock update. Wait, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on, let's do it again.
A fluffle
flock update. Neil, how was flock?
It was awesome. I can aside from being in Hungary, which I've never been to before, it was an experience in itself. It was great meeting all these people again for another year and seeing a bunch of new faces too.
Now, this is the old Fedora Developers Conference, and did you get anything accomplished? Did you achieve any kind of kumbaya on anything that you set out for? Like, how was that aspect of it?
So from my point of view, the big thing was I wanted to see, how the relationship between the new RHEL 8, and Fedora is going to work out, and talk with some of the people about the extra packages for enterprise Linux for RHEL 8. As well as the Fedora modularity thing and its downstream RHEL cousin, the application stream stuff. So that was a big chunk of what I was looking toward. But there was also some great things about how we're going to handle some of the changes in the Python ecosystem. You already know from my previous times being on Linux Unplugged, talking about murdering Python 2 in its sleep. So there was that, as well as looking forward to the future of where, in the Python ecosystem is evolving, the way that software is developed and shipped and things like that, and stuff like, getting into weeds of it, things like dist utils and setup tools, if you're familiar with Python development, have been the staple or nearly the requirement for everything. That's going away as a requirement. Oh. And that means that a lot of things about how we assume Python software is shipped has to change. Oof. And so, a lot of things like that. Also, evolution in our packaging infrastructure,
like how so?
Tooling. So one of the things that is coming with Fedora 31 is the new version of RPM 4.15, which has the interesting new feature of optionally determining your build dependencies for you if you give it with the build dependency generator script. So it can run through the tarball and evaluate. Given a script or a command, evaluate what things it actually needs to build the software, rerun itself after requesting those dependencies to be installed, through mock or OBS build or whatever, and then it will go forward and re-execute the build process after those dependencies are installed. And so this is more about simplifying the work for packaging so that people don't have to try to go through all the crap to figure out how everything is supposed to work. So that's a big fundamental change to how RPMs are built, because for basically its entire existence, the one thing you could kind of count on is that build dependencies are static. And now they're dynamic. They're populated based on what the software says they're going to be. And so that's a huge assumption to change. And we've actually got all the pieces in place now for even our infrastructure to handle it. And the OpenSUSE guys have landed the feature as well in the build system. It doesn't work on OpenSUSE yet because they don't have RPM 4.15, but you can use the OpenSUSE build service to build Fedora packages that use generated build dependencies. And so that part works now.
Wait, the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get sick?
No.
Yay.
In fact, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Congratulations. That's
moving on up, Neil.
Your next level conferencing now, Neil. That's what that means.
Well, it's more next level than you think. So literally, I arrived back in New York yesterday at 9 p.m. And 8 a.m. this morning, I traveled to Boston for DevConf US. So I'm actually just the day before, the CentOS Dojo and DevConf US here in Boston. So, don't count me out quite yet, but I survived one conference. There's still another.
Keep it up.
Neil. Good luck.
Keep it up. How, Popey, have you managed to not get sick in all of your crazy travels recently?
Yeah, it's just jet lag.
Yeah.
I haven't been getting sick. It's just I found it monumentally hard going from west to east. When I came back from Canada, my sleep was all over the place. I've now just about recovered a week or so later.
Going east is the worst. I can come out to America from Europe just fine. It's just a really, really long day, but going back, I just can't.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It is so hard traveling to Europe.
This is why I wish I could just drive the RV the whole way. Because
take it slow.
No,
just on the way.
Just build a big bridge. It should be fine. Because it takes so long that by the time you get there, you're used to the time zone.
But can't you just travel the other way?
Yeah, you could drive up to Alaska, take a
true.
boat over through Russia.
Yeah, right. I could see it from what's-her-face's house.
Go through China.
The Bering Strait is still solid enough for you to drive your RV through.
Mm-hmm.
At the right time of year, probably.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, then
So
I could broadcast the whole way. What could go wrong?
Next week, I'm off to Arizona, and that's going to be hot.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you.
One of the reasons we're having our little sprint skis here for the new show is because this is where it's mild. It's
27 degrees here.
Yeah.
But back in Raleigh, it's 35 today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
it's just
feels
too
like
much.
108 degrees Fahrenheit in Texas right now.
It's very warm in the studio, but outside the studio, it's pleasant. So
I did want to ask Popey too. I saw his tweet earlier last week, about the HP microservers. Do you run several of those, or?
Oh, yeah, I got 3 of them next to me right here.
So are they all the 34s, or do you?
I think I've got 1 34 and 2 45s, I think. One of them I got from Wimpy, that he had done a firmware upgrade that it's an unofficial firmware upgrade that makes the SATA controller faster and enables a couple of other things that improve performance. Yeah, I had a special one that was a prototype that had an Intel CPU in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was better. But
Yeah, because
the
the Geode AMD CPU.
It's not quick.
It's not quick.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, it
It's
works
okay.
great for my instance, which is a FreeNAS loaded on a 54L.
Right.
And
I
it
mean,
just sits in the corner, and it just syncs and does its thing. I never have an issue with it. How many
I was
drives
just
are you
using it.
running? 4 drives? Just the four
in
drive?
2 of them there are 4 drives, and in one of them there's only 2 drives. The 2 drive machine is the one I tweeted about, which is just like a lab, like testing stuff out. And I was just playing with microcates and seeing what it was necessary to get Kubernetes up and running on a micro
And
server.
then I'm curious
Not
how
hard.
it runs on that micro.
Oh yeah, like a pig in molasses. It's awful.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be horrible in those conditions.
Can I take a moment?
I mean, it works.
Can I take a moment? Special announcement. I do recognize that this is the Pi episode. Can we just get that? Because otherwise, people are going to die if we don't acknowledge that on air. This is the Pi episode.
Yeah, it's
everybody.
it's 3.14. It's 314.
314.
But we actually
Excellent.
we did a Pi episode before the Pi episode, so we could have.
Yeah.
Can we just flip?
We
those
should have
in
saved the
feed?
Raspberry. We really.
Can we just confuse people and flip them in the feeds? So last week's is this week's, and this week's is last week's.
So the number one title right
Do
now
that.
is
It'll hurt.
the Pi episode. So I know that's going to be our first comment that everybody says.
I think we're more Tau people though. 2 Pi. Like that's,
I know.
What are we doing with Pi?
I feel like we didn't.
So then what is 4 tau? Can we do 4 tau with a special thing?
The wobble factor isn't bad. What about I also said the big kernel problem. Because get it?
Yeah, I liked Architect's bigger, faster, harder to maintain.
That's good.
That is good.
That is really good. That's really funny.
I like exploding desktops.
Well, so do I, but I don't know if it makes a good title.
I really want to turn that off already, but I just
Get it
feel
out
like I
of
have to stick
here.
with it for a while just because.
Did you hear Emma though? 400 nits on that screen.
Dude, I'm all about
That
it.
is freaking
Yeah.
insane brightness.
I was going to say maybe something with the adder in it in the name.
Well,
might
we're
be
getting it
nice.
sent to us. We'll have a review, Eunice. We should probably save that.
I'll save it for another one.
Yeah, when it's gonna take them a week or 2 to assemble and send it.
And I wouldn't mind if you shipped it down to me for a bit. I'd run it through some paces in Blender and stuff.
Girl, why don't you come up here?
Or that too.
Why don't you come up here?
Girl, what did that girl just say, girl?
Oof.
So
that was crazy.
What are we going to name this thing? And then you and
I think Pie Show's going to win.
I mean, but
What about not the pie episode?
but if people don't see the episode number, it just doesn't work.
Well, it should also be said that the individual that the reason it has so many votes is because the individual that created the title is just voting it up himself.
Oh, so you're saying those votes
Also,
are
we're
phony
not
votes?
a math podcast. As much as I want
Well,
us
I'm
to
not
be.
saying that they're
Hey, Cheesy,
different IPs. but
Turn,
they're
Cheesy, will you turn that fan on?
Oh yeah, babe.
Thanks.
I got you.
It's either got to be the wobble factor or bigger, faster, harder to maintain.
I like
which
bigger, faster,
I think
harder to
I like
maintain.
bigger, faster, harder to maintain too. That's,
Bigger,
And
faster.
I want to hear that song now too.
Daft Punk.
Yeah, I want to hear that Daft Punk track.
All right, I could play that after we get off. I just can't play that on the old tubes.
Oh, that breeze
the old
is so
tube.
nice.
I know, right?
Thank goodness that fan is on. It was
Well,
hot.
Brent was getting like undressed in here.
Attaboy.
He's
You know
stripping
what?
It down, you know.
You know what?
I like it hot, but
I tell you, who knows what I might do if you guys weren't here? You just never know.
Says the Canadian who lives in 6 feet of snow, as we looked at on the chart last night for half the year.
we sure did. But
Oh, I got
hot,
the burps.
The cold makes the hot worth.
That doesn't mean that it's not hot in his dwelling.
True.
And it cranks it up, Throw an extra log on the fire.
You know it.
So, Wes, my thinking is the desktop should be boring. It's an appliance.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I don't actually want wobbly windows.
I hope not.
I just miss
In your life.
there's like we don't have like super key to search on
Yeah.
there. Or
Well,
like,
no, look.
Oh,
boom.
yeah.
Is it working now?
Well, no, I just installed U-Launcher.
Oh yeah, well, that's fine. We just didn't have that on some of them.
Yeah,
So like,
no, U-Launcher, if you install XFCE,
Plasma's
U-Launcher
a
is
complete experience. Is all
You're
I'm
right,
saying.
you're right. Plasma has a launcher, but if you use XFCE and you don't use U-Launcher, you are kind of missing out on a little
But
bit
I
of
don't
a quicker.
need that's the thing is I don't need any of the extra compositing. I don't need any of that to get my work done.
Right.
Nope.
I need a browser and a terminal, please. Thank you.
I
Would you
actually end up
believe-
turning off most?
You
of that
need
stuff.
an illustrator.
Would you believe bigger,
No, I
faster,
do.
stronger is
I'll never have
is
that
not it's not a super uncommon track name? Look at this.
It's harder, better,
That is
faster.
Oh,
something like
harder. Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, even though the desktop can be boring, the studio doesn't have to be. What I'm thinking is LEDs where you can go into show mode and
Ooh,
it changes
yeah.
color. It'll be cooler.
These are hues, right?
You can have
here.
like a
And these are
VU
hues.
Oh,
meter style.
are those
maybe
like
you can go
incandescent
in, or-
bulbs up there or something?
Well, up here? No, these are
No, they're
friendly,
LED.
please?
They're not that warm, but
Yeah, I mean, we'll take your input.
they do.
Alexa, trigger studio red lights. It's kind of wonky with hues because they're IFTT, but they are Hughes bulbs.
We need to just get Alex to hook up like a Node MCU to this fan, and then that way you can
Yeah, the
control the
prob-
speed of the
Can
rate.
can you override the little computer in there? Because
you probably could.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that.
You control the rate of the fan.
I'd love to be able to because right now all my fans are dumb. And it drives me crazy.
If
All
you
right.
can think it.
You can build it.
Sorry.
You just got to know how, right?
All your fans are dumb. Is that what you're telling your audience?
It's very frustrating. It's very, once you go smart, you will never go back. Like the idea that these fans don't just turn on when I need them to by voice command or by temperature it's silly.
We could
I
put
still
them
don't
at
think
the
you
very
got it.
least. We could put them on a relay, but I think Popey meant
see.
fans as
yes.
in
Oh yes.
listeners.
I see. I never refer to people that listen to these shows as fans, so I don't.
They're audience members.
Well, I would never be so presumptuous to
They're
say fans.
family.
I would never be so presumptuous.
This is the Linux community after all. You can't really be,
Fascinating.
Exactly. But you're right. I get you.
Hey, how far away from you is Vancouver?
An hour.
Hour and 20 hour 30 if you consider the border wait
Interesting.
time.
Are you going to be in Vancouver?
If you're thinking about flying in, I would definitely recommend considering flying into the Payne Field and then saying hi.
Okay.
Where in Arizona
Noted.
are you going?
The hot bit.
Oh, good. Because there are direct flights to Payne Field from Vegas. Is all I was thinking. Which I know is Nevada.
Oh
but
man.
You're close to the Vegas.
No, it's a flight in, flight out. We're only going to be there for a couple of days.
It's a strike.
Me and
It's a
Wimpy.
strike team. Wimpy. I want to come.
Yeah.
Is it in Phoenix?
I don't know. It's somewhere in
Oh,
Arizona.
I want to come. All right, we'll have a good time. We'll miss you.
Chris is just going to show
So
up on
awkward how
Pope's
he
work
didn't
trip.
invite you.
I would. Yeah, I know. I could totally help.
Chris, you would totally melt in Phoenix.
I could be part of the team. I could be in there talking about snaps and how great they are, and just pretend like I'm a canonical employee. I'd do great.
Neil does have a point. I don't think you could handle the temps, bro.
I think you would have a sunburn within the
He-
first
I
5
barely
seconds.
can handle
Texas for like
Phoenix.
half the year.
I don't know how Wimpy and Popey do it. To be honest with you.
No, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to cope with it. I think I'm going to have to get the taxi driver to like drive into the hotel reception so I can go from one air conditioned environment to another.
Texas,
I mean, you're going to spend most of your time like in 100 to 110 degree weather, so it's going to not be fun. At all.
No.
That's 35 to 40.
I want to go. No, I don't. I don't want to go.
In real units.
I really don't want to go. All right. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you for making it. We appreciate you.
Mumble Room, I miss you.
It's that humidity that will get you.
Thank you, Mumble.
Has Joe finished all the pizza?
It's mostly dry heat in
I don't know if it
in
made it.
Phoenix.
Yeah, that's true.
I tell you what.
Yeah, it's mostly.
I'm planning to go out to really, really great pizza, but there's all these podcasts he has to keep editing. So, but there's a place.
Where Drew's at in Savannah, in Georgia, that's hot and humid.
Yeah.
Like 110 regularly.
Yeah.
100% humidity.
Whoa.
I wish I was there with you with a Dodge Challenger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of
We'll
caravanning.
race you in our Hyundai.
We did a little caravanning, and we all got two ways,
Pretty
so
nice
we
little
could radio to each other as we're going down the road.
Nice.
Tell you what, you learn a little bit about people on the road like that. Yeah, it was a good time. Well, you know what? In the future, you never know. You can make it happen.
So, Popey, if you do ever make it down to Savannah, there is one saving grace for it being hot as hell. We have no open container law in the downtown area, so you can walk into a bar.
You can walk around with a beer?
And you can ask, hey, can I have that to go, please? And they will hand you a plastic cup with whatever beverage you want.
And this is downtown, which is
downtown.
beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's historic.
Yeah.
And just walk over to the park and sit there and drink your alcoholic slushy.
I mean,
and,
it's historic to us. I mean, to him, it's quaint, but it's historic to us. Yeah.
But yeah, first planned city in America.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I just watched a YouTube video on it like 3 nights
Really?
ago.
Oh,
yeah.
did you?
Yeah, well, it's funny because like you were coming out, I was like, well, this is where Drew's coming from. Let's watch this.
I'll
And I was
learn
like,
some Drew facts.
and I'm like, okay, now I want to go.
Well,
Did you study up on bunnies too?
What the Central Park in New York is modeled after Forsyth Park. in
Oh,
Savannah.
really?
Oh,
That's
okay.
cool.
Central Park's a lot bigger, but,
Right.
But yeah, it's modeled
Yeah.
after us.
All right, Mumble Room. Have a great rest of your day, morning, and likely evening.
Good night, everyone.
Appreciate you.
Lovely chatting.
Thanks for
Oh.
showing up. That was
Good
lovely to have
night.
you.
Bye,
Glad
Popey.
glad you made it back healthy, Neil. Keep it up. Keep drinking fluids.
Yep, I'm gonna try to plow through this week and not actually get the con credit again because
You got
it
this, bro.
totally sucked last
You got
time.
this.
You got this, Neil.
All right.
And if it gets too hot, you can do what a Florida person did and drive to the Netherlands
How
with
soon,
the car.
Popey? How soon do you have to go to Arizona?
Tuesday.
Oh, you're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, man, good luck, Popey. Good luck.
It's supposed to top out at 45 degrees Celsius.
If you need to retreat to Seattle, you just ping me. We'll make it happen, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Bye,
here.
Popey. Bye, guys.
Later.
It's hot.
All right, live stream. We must depart, but I'm going to leave you with a special request. Well, at least those of you on the main jblive.tv. I can't put this out on YouTube. So we'll wrap up the YouTube stream here, but thank you very much for
Bye,
joining us.
YouTube.
Bye, YouTube. We
We miss
appreciate you. And be sure to go check out the shows because we got a lot of stuff in the works, including extras.show. There's already the whole keynote posted and more coming soon at extras.show. So go check that out. Any other wisdom there, Wes? No? All right.
That's
Goodbye,
it.
YouTube.
Bye,
Thank
tubes.
you.
Oh,
Bye,
yeah.
tubes.